On the page that someone referenced, it has a disclaimer in fine print where they don't make it obvious that they're making a retraction on pilots for 911 truth and that sort of thing. That's so you can keep reposting something. And when you ask them directly, is this actually been debunked? They have had the same message up there for a very long time, and they just say, read the page, you can figure it out. Instead of saying, yeah, we were wrong, or we were lied to, or we got caught lying. Passenger telephone system was deactivated by ECO FO, or F0, FO 878. And this is the 757 Boeing Aircraft Maintenance Manual, and it's called 57 AM. And it's supposed to be on page number 231900-0, and it shows a text-based printout as a screenshot, and someone redacted it. But what they redacted is important. An ECO is an engineering change order, engineering change note, engineering change notice, engineering change, and is defined within the industry this way. It is a document packet, not one page. It is not a manual. It's not the manual. It can be an addendum within the manual, but you have to propose that we don't read the rest of the manual. And why did you cut off the bottom of the page or not show the next page with pertinent information that was part of this ECO? Why is the time and date stamp for the ECO supposedly being put out in 2001 exactly the same date as the supposed system reader? It's just off by 6 years. It's a documentation packet that outlines a proposed change in maintenance procedures. It lists the products or parts that would be affected. This is the wording that's used. And requests review and approval from individuals who will be impacted or charged with implementing the change for later implementation. So at best you're saying after a certain date this was requested. But the trouble is, the only time and date stamps on the screen that really matter would be when the damn thing was edited last, when it was put up. A graphic or something at the bottom, right under the other redacted parts, says such and such reference to 2001. Okay, now we're going to continue with this. And if you're with a friend who's really old who only looks at InfoWars and they start squirming, just get them some Ritalin and make them stare at the screen. Make Grandpa great again. 1996, American Airlines, Verizon Airphone, AT&T Airphone, and various other airphone companies were vying to be able to put seat-back airplane service for phones. These things weigh a lot, so they have to make money. Airplanes are based on weight. You're cattle on a ship. Everything that's heavy either has to make a bunch of money or be chucked. 1999, Boeing began to digitize all airplane maintenance manuals to compact discs, not as text files in the database. April 7th of 1999. Not as text files. I'm from this era. What they did is they ran the imaging, the manuals through scanner, and later OCR'd them into a text file. So, at best, you should be showing a printout with, Barack Obama-style scan images artifact. Many of the in-flight calls made by victims on 9/11 were over Airphone and Air One and various other methods. 2002, February 6 at 5:21 Pacific Standard Time p.m. CNET webpage said, a spokesman for American Airlines said, we will be... You notice the same tense as the actual document people were talking about? And what an ECO is, an engineering change order or engineering change request. We will be discontinuing AT&T in-flight phone service. 2002. March 31st. But they're all unhooked, right? None of them work? No. You're telling everybody you're going to turn them off and then proceed to remove the parts. When this was pointed out, links below in the description, 9/11 truthers kept weaseling, including the asshole who keeps posting on my channel, who's going to get all his comments deleted if he doesn't acknowledge. I want you to read that and tell me what the fuck you were talking about today. American Airlines is scrapping in process some, not all, of those phones built into the seats of airplanes. A 2002 article, Whatever Happened to Seatback Phones, by Anna Teresa Palmer, acknowledging that they were all being removed in 2002. People started noticing them being removed, including people taking photos before and after saying, hey, where are my phones? I mean, they're expensive. What they found out is most people didn't want to take a phone call or make a phone call while they're in an airplane because they're traveling, and they finally realized, you know, the novelty's gone. I have a cell phone all the time. I make my phone calls before and after. I don't want seatback phones. American Airlines Boeing 757-223. Serial number 25338. Tail number N681AA. Flight 1563 from Los Angeles to Chicago. 2002, September 28th. Seatback phones visible in the image. Only half of them have it. 2003, not the current year. Years later, March 29th, American Airlines Boeing 757-223, serial number 24587, tail number N629AA, row 29, same damn thing. So they were deactivated since September 11th of 2001, but they left the hardware in there, taking up weight with wiring that had to be checked, because you have to check all the wires every X number of thousand cycles. It took a long time for them to remove all the equipment because it wasn't really a priority. They removed the heaviest things first, so they did deactivate them by unplugging stuff. But they announced that they would not be able to work in 2002, which means they were still active in 2002. You sons of bastards. You filthy, disgusting, murder-inducing, asshole, trolling shitwad cocksuckers. Bitch. So anyway, here we go. One flight attendant, one, was found by the 9/11 Truth Movement out of all the other highly intelligent flight attendants. I asked several current and former flight attendants, why would former? For American, who flew domestic, they all said they recall the phones as having been disabled at the time, or gone, or had stickers indicating they were inoperative. When did she ask this question, and when was this interview done? It's pretty hard to find this, but let's continue. A minority report. Next. Truther Bob Balsamic received and then redacted an American Airlines anonymous mechanic leak text file printout of a single page of a supposed 757 American Airlines maintenance manual for Boeing 757 aircraft manual that said passenger phone system is to be activated. And the page number is supposed to be 23-19-0-0. Excuse me, 00-0. Let's get this precise. That's totally not a revision number. Like every hunk of software you're using, instead of the dashes, they would put periods. Check the version number of your web browser. How many dots and dashes? That's a revision number. It's not a page number. Dick. Boeing 757 Aircraft Manual 2001/01/28 at the bottom of the page instead of the top where it belongs, on a text printout, supposedly done through software to retrieve it, because the software said that its revision number, software release date, was 1/28/2007. And the supposed manual update was 1/28/2001. So you couldn't change one digit on the screen. It's not a 2007 printout of a 2007 manual which is the default you'd use. Why would you look up the older ones in a system? They were all on CDs. They were all dumped as PDF files. What are you doing with a text file? It should say archival only, or something else indicating that that is no longer a revision that's useful. But okay. And then it also said the following words: clearing telephone systems, maintenance, and then replacement. That doesn't mean it was removed already by that date. That means doing maintenance, continual maintenance on things, and replacement. But of course, the truther interpretation is it turns the frogs gay. So okay, now we're at the point where I'll just do this real quick. They fucking falsified a document that doesn't look like that, because another document, which is an actual reference file, totally looks different. Truthers did not show the actual engineering change order itself, removing the phones. They didn't show this document, the whole document. They only showed parts of it. They redacted parts of it that were unnecessary, including the date at the top left, because it says date. Why would you remove the date? Ever? Oh, that's secret. No, it's not. And they claimed the date of 2007 was software revision, but it's exactly to the day, calendar day, off by 2001. Really? Sure. Smoke them if you got them. You're apparently high already. And that was to read the American Airlines computer system data that would have put it up as a PDF file, because in 2007 it would have been a picture. And it would have been a web browser. But anyway, but the page number, which is obviously a revision. Do you know how long the manuals were? They're about 3 megabytes in PDF format. I just can't download any because people want to charge money for it. Somebody stupidly uploaded some other data. It was on Image Shack. It's gone. I'm not going to mention it. You can read below. Debunkers and fact checkers finding all of this shit and finding another version that actually gave the right information on March 2001. 2002. Found 3 different dates on this 2002 March version of it that actually talked about really removing it, and still is in process, and 2 different inks used, and it was to deactivate the earphones, not even remove them. That was when they finally started deactivating them. 2007, truthers fine print confessed the following: they couldn't locate the supposed 2001 manual or the engineering change order they claimed existed, because the person that gave them the information evaporated magically. 2004, they acknowledged the FBI said all the cell phone calls were really actually made by earphones, instead of the claim that there were no phones, or it was all done from cell phones. The mistakes were made by people assuming it was a cell phone call in some cases, and just that's it. And here we go. 2002 engineering change order F1463 and F1532 were what removed the phone systems and only started the process a year later. We're currently in process of analyzing these conflicts with our bullshit story. We will update this article as more becomes available. And then right afterwards you hear this. No response. They drop the subject. They just don't want you to bring it up. And again, if you bring it up, they get pissy. See also below the images and data that I'm referring to. Now, I want to point out, if you post a redacted screenshot of some supposed file and someone else does the same thing, it's apples to apples. One of them is trackable. All the American Airlines will do is say, I'll check that to see if it matches any of our files. And they can say yes or no. Truthers wouldn't do it. Oh well. And again, I want to point out, David Ray Griffin, debunking the 911 debunkings, claimed they never had earphones originally until he saw pictures, just like the ones I'm linking to. Stop posting the lie. Acknowledge you lied. Don't do it again. And stop ignoring the video I had up that also did this again. I'm doing the video over again. You know what? I think I'll do a third one.